The internet is a game changer in the 21st century parenting. This is something that I found out sometime last year. And I have done parent coaching for a while now. And I started to write my book called Connect to Correct. My name is Wendy Ologe, and I'm a parent coach. I'm also the founder of the Intentional Parents Academy, and I am the author of the bestseller called Connect to Correct. I started saying that the internet is a game changer in the 21st century parenting. Let me tell you why. Mrs. Royal invited me sometime last month to be at this conference as a guest speaker. I realized that I wasn't going to be around on the date, that I was going to be away. And look at me today, speaking at the conference, just because there is internet, there is technology. So the internet has changed everything. So if you want to understand what I mean by saying that the internet is a game changer in the 21st century parenting, this is it. Me talking to you at this conference and you hearing me. All right, so Connect to Correct is one book that changed everything that I know about parenting. Many times we have come to this point on our journey in this part of the world as parents that parenting is something that should be done a certain way. And that has produced a lot of people in our time that I say that a lot of us turned out to be hypocrites. The kind of parenting our parents did in the last years, what I call assumption parenting. Parenting was done without knowledge, without any form of learned skills, and without any form of grit. What I say today is that parenting involves knowledge, grit, and tools that you cannot go on this journey without knowing what exactly to do. That takes me to the topic of the day. Ms. Royal told me to talk about connection between parents and children. Teenagers, how do they connect? Parents, how do you connect? I say that at the base of parenting is connection. Without connection, you will not be able to actually achieve your aim when it comes to effectiveness being a parent. Because connection is what builds relationship. The parent-child relationship is one thing that you must understand that it's a tough kind of relationship to build. Because trust me, you are at that level and the child is at this level. So building that relationship, is very, what word will I use? Very dicey. And a lot of the times, on building that relationship, we are actually, burning bridges. Which is why many of us, by the time we grew up, we had no form of relationship with our parents because they were trying to achieve the aim of raising people who were responsible. And in doing that, there were scars and we were not able to connect with them as much as we could connect with them. That made us make a lot of mistakes. That made us do a lot of things that we shouldn't have done ordinarily because we had no relationship with them. I often say that authority is respect and trust, not control and force. The moment your child cannot trust you, what it means is that your child has offered that authority to someone else that he can trust. So trust is what makes us stand as an authority figure for that child because that is what can make us influence that child. So when you have trust, then you have authority. And this goes two ways, both from the teenager and from the parent. Of course, by the time you trust your parent, you are able to share a lot with them. By the time your parents trust you, they're also able to let you do a lot of things responsibly. One of the things that I have found that happens most of the time is that we struggle because we want to control. The moment you are looking for control in a wrong way, because I say that when it comes to parenting, there must be certain kind of control. And the moment you get this control wrongly, you begin to, make a lot of, cause a lot of friction between you and your child. And one of the things that I say to build connection, one of the first things that you must recognize that you need to do to build any kind of connection with your child is that you must understand that you do not own anybody. We are caretakers. God has given us the ability, the greatest job on planet Earth, to raise another. Now, that does not give us the express ownership of that child. What we are caretakers. And I think that's where we actually miss it. Because at that point, we haven't gone to the we have not recognized that we are just here to raise another God. I like to use that word because the Bible says that you are gods. So what it means is that every single one of us is a God, including that child that is in your heart. I like to reference one of the parenting experts in the world called Dr. Shalif. And she says that many times what we think is that the children are not like us, but they are like us. The only difference is that it got here before them. So in building relationship with your child, you must understand that first thing you need to do is to remove the mentality in your head that you own your child. If you're able to do that, then you will be able to start to build and raise a relationship. Every relationship requires work. Every relationship requires work, and when you connect, what that does is that you can even correct easily. In Connect to Correct, I shared on how you can use a lot of tools to actually connect with your child. One of the ways is modeling. What are you saying to that child? Is what you're saying the same thing as what you're doing? I have found out that many times we say one thing, we do another. That's actually a gap when it comes to the kind of parenting that we do in these days, because we are trying to raise our children the same way our parents raised us. Unfortunately, this is a generation of knowledge and it's a generation of why. So the 21st century is a generation of knowledge in the times where if you're not careful, your child will know more than you and he will run faster than you when it comes to knowledge. I often share how I got jotted up when my son came to me to tell me about suicide games. I'm sure that many of us, we don't know anything about suicide games. But trust me, these things are there. I didn't even know anything about it until my son came to me to say it to me. And I started to research. And I realized that if we do not create a connection with these children, a lot of things will go wrong without us even knowing that these things have gone wrong. So let me tell you a bit about suicide games. It just tells the children to commit suicide after, the children have played the game. It's an internet game. So that's why I say that the internet is a game changer in the 21st century parenting. Another tool that is required for you to parent effectively in the 21st century is knowledge. You need to know what to do. I say that knowledge is not enough. What is enough is actually acquiring that knowledge and being able to put that knowledge into practice. Now, many parents consume a lot of knowledge, get a lot of knowledge, and never actually practice them. There's a lot of knowledge out there, but I tell you, so knowledge is not pushing you to mean exactly what it is that is shared everywhere. It gives you the ability to think of your own process. I tell every parent that your process is different. Every child is different. No human being is the same. But if you do not know how to even understand the child, it makes it even a lot more difficult for you to understand who that child is. So knowledge can never be overemphasized. I remember one of those days that I shared a story about a 200 level ABU student who committed suicide on my group on Facebook. I run a group on Facebook called The Intentional Parents. And one of the members chatted me and said, I honestly really wish that I knew about you and your book even before my child turned 21. Right now, there is no form of connection between me and my child, and we're struggling. The other day, I saw a note where my child actually shared that he actually wants to kill himself. Now, these are some of the things, some of the effects of what it is that happens when there is no connection between you and your parent, or between the parent and the child. So, connection, being able to find knowledge, being able to understand what to do and how to do it becomes key on how to, connect with your child. I've had many parents all over the world share with me reviews on how they have started to rebuild connections with their children after they have read my book, because I say that relationship trumps control when it comes to parenting. So as you're seeking control, which is okay, do not seek control wrongly. Another point that you must understand as regards connection is that you must have skills. Believe you me, you can't teach someone what you don't know. Like they often say, you can't give what you don't have. So what it means is that you need to acquire skills. I will tell you a bit about myself and my journey. I used to be one of those people who believed that yelling or hitting a child was the ultimate way out. At some point in my life, I realized that, okay, I needed to do more. By the way, I have 2 children, a set of twins, and we also have a foster daughter. I'm also married, been married for over 10 years. So in those years, I realized that I needed to work on me. I will often say that I don't like people screaming in the house, but I found out that I was always screaming. Of course, the children picked it because I wasn't teaching and I wasn't modeling exactly what skill that I wanted them to build. And of course, that made me really frustrated. But when I realized that parenting was about me, which is one of my most favorite quotes in Connect to Correct. Parenting is about you, not the child. So you must understand that. I started to build skills in emotional intelligence. I started to build skills in emotions coaching. I often say that we are not perfect at any point. We are all work in progress. I built this and I realized that we are the ones that make ourselves ill. We are the ones that get aggravated. We are the ones that do everything that we decide to do about our emotions. And that has helped me on my journey as a parent. And this is also one of the things that I teach parents along the line. But most of the people who have gone through my class on emotional intelligence would tell you that it will look like something that is not feasible. I also felt that way at some point, in my life. Because, of course, whatever it is that you model a child with, that's what the child is going to give you eventually. I call it programming. Parenting is about programming. Growing up, my father was a yeller. So, of course, awesome. But he will yell to correct at every point in time. And that was one thing that I imbibed. And I needed to break it. It wasn't about prayer. I prayed. I did everything. But it was about knowledge. The Bible says that my people perish for lack of knowledge and not lack of prayers. So we need to get this right and begin to work on the skills that we want our children to have. So when it comes to skills, it is something that is very important. So what are those things that you are looking out for your child to have? Are you building it yourself? One of my friends will say, raise yourself in order to raise your child. Even right now, as I'm working on this journey, I am still building myself to what it is that I want my children to become. So before you give out whatever it is, you will need to build yourself. Remember, you cannot give what you don't have. And the last thing I'm going to talk about today is grit. For every single one of us, I said earlier that you need to understand that you are not perfect. The moment you understand that you are not infallible as a parent, it will help you. What I see many times is our parents, who just come and act perfect, which is one of the reasons our parents told us things like, I came first. Every parent came first growing up, you remember? And this is also one of the reasons why parents come to you and say, no, I didn't do anything wrong. I was reading a book that was written by Hillary Clinton. That's the wife of Clinton, the president of America. And she shared something about her dad, following a truck and running over the house. And she mentioned something. She said, in this time, that child would have been termed delinquent. The interesting thing is, when you look at the processes, when you look at the things that we are doing, as a parent or we've done, you understand that we are only human. And you must understand that your child too is human, can make mistakes, and you're not infallible. So you are not infallible, but you must be able to apply grit. What does grit do for you? Grit tells you that you can try and try and try until you get there. And that's what you need as a parent. You need to understand that the fact that you have failed on a particular task does not make you a wrong parent or make you a bad parent, in quotes. Like people, we all fall, but you must understand your infallibility. One of the things I teach my children is that, see, I am infallible. I make mistakes. That also makes them to be able to walk up to me when they are wrong, because they are looking at me as somebody who can also make mistakes. Remember, growing up, our parents painted a perfect picture, and which was one of the reasons why we were not able to walk up to them to tell them what our challenges were. And we made a lot of errors. I'm sure if you think about it as a parent in this place, you will realize that there are a lot of things that you could have done better if you had a better relationship with your parent. So your ability to make yourself vulnerable, your ability to make yourself infallible, your ability to tell your children that you're not perfect will make you. It will make your connection a lot more easier. A few days ago, my son told me that I was chewing with my mouth open. And this is me that always say, no, don't chew with your mouth. I just turned and I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize that. I'm not going to turn to him and say, oh, will you shut up? Am I not your mother? No. it shows my vulnerability. And intentionally, I'm building it so that they will also see that their mother, their parents are that they are vulnerable. Sometimes they come to their dad and say, "Oh, dad, oh, you did this." And you say, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it that way. I should have done it this way." So, if you understand grit, if you understand that you're not perfect, if you understand that we are work in progress, then you will understand that when you make mistakes, you correct yourself. When a child makes mistakes, you correct yourself. Parenting is an emotional journey, which is one of the reasons why I say that we must acquire every kind of knowledge that is required. So, there's an emotional journey. You need to work on your emotions. What it means is that when your child is successful, when you have effectively raised a responsible person, you are happy, you are excited. When it's the other way around, you're sad. So either way, your emotions are drawn at different ends. So, excuse me, these are the 3 points I would like you to take note of: knowledge, tools, and grit. These 3 points are important on your journey as a parent. I would like to end here because I think I have just a few minutes for this session. I'd like to really thank Mrs. Royal for an opportunity to speak all the way from where I am and even be present at this conference. I would have really, really loved to be here, but she asked that, I could speak from, where I am and also send copies of Connect to Correct down to Onitsha. I want to say something about Connect to Correct, not because I am the author, but because I have seen it transform lives. If you can get a copy of Connect to Correct, I promise you, it will be every penny of your spending worth it. Connect to Correct is a life changer. It has changed my life. A few days ago, my son was asking me, "Mom, you wrote that book. Why were you studying it?" I smiled. I said, "I need to remind myself. Remember, I told you that we are all work in progress." Even yours truly is also keep learning. Well, I was also learning and also trying to, make everything right. This journey needs support. This journey needs a lot of knowledge, and I crave every parent seated here to get a copy of this book, acquire more knowledge, and you can join me on any social media. Follow me to find out more about me, Wendy Ologe. I am Wendy Ologe on every social media. But you can also join our Facebook group called The Intentional Parent on Facebook to learn more. Thank you for an awesome opportunity. And thank you, Mrs. Royal. I am indeed grateful for this opportunity to share. Bye.